Welcome to the special edition of our AppDev Summit series, where we dive deep into trends, tools, and technologies that shape the modern application development landscape. During theCUBE's AppDev Done Right Summit, we've seen a powerful convergence of platform simplicity, developer productivity, AI acceleration, and DevSecOps first thinking. Phil, I'm really happy to have you back on the show. Tintri was an integral part of the AppDev Summit, really kind of showcased a lot of the day zero to day one and day two and DevSecOps pieces. Welcome to the show. Welcome back.
Oh, thanks for having me back again. Third time around.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. Why don't you introduce yourself to the audience and introduce Tintri?
All right, everybody. I'm Phil Trickovic. I am the SVP and GM of Tintri. We are a data intelligent AI appliance. I've been on the market commercially since about 2012. And we are designed to serve this market that's emerging here.
Yeah, and it is the emerging market indeed. It's really, really exploding. I mean, we see application modernization and application development as the new kind of, I don't know, dare I say, the new oil of the machine, right? It's working, it's happening, things are happening. And, when we think about Tintri and Tintri's involvement, right, you have modern infrastructure delivering intelligent VMware, where kind of storage, purpose-built, application-centric environments. That is really incredibly important when we look at the research, because Kubernetes adoption accelerated with a lot of this. You need to have that automation and data-driven platform that really does play a critical role to simplify the day zero to day two operations, also enabling DevSecOps teams and optimizing performance, scalability, and security across the entire application lifecycle. Because it's a really, really important. We saw that in the research, we saw that in the data. Acceleration of those KPIs and pushing code out the door as fast and quick. That happens. It's something that we really need to think about, and Tintri definitely has the ability to do so. So, Phil, I want to jump right into this because we only have a limited amount of time, and I don't want to kind of keep talking about things, but like after hearing about the rise in the complexity and the hybrid and AI native environments, what infrastructure decisions are you prioritizing to improve software delivery velocity and reduce operational friction? And how is Tintri helping with that?
So we were designed from day one, Paul. As you know, we greatly simplify CI/CD pipelines. I'll stay off the flow because that can go on forever, but that's been there since day one. Lots of referenceable customers. What's exciting to me is that those flows are also changing and accelerating, and we are perfect for that. So shops that don't want, developers that don't want to deal with storage admins, don't want to deal with network, it's self-service. For admins, storage people, infrastructure people that don't want to deal with developers, that eternal, it's there too. So it's still required that you manage these products, and it required that you be able to support multiple different protocols, multiple different hypervisor methodologies, and in some cases, multiple different containerization methodologies. We do all of that out of the box, turnkey. So it's very exciting to see this and around the globe. What I'm seeing that it's really framing up nicely for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's congratulations on that, because I mean, it really is being right in line with the shifts in the industry. What we're seeing in platform engineering is accelerating. We're seeing that the role of DevOps is really kind of a hybrid role between a platform engineer and DevOps teams. And, the last thing DevOps teams want to think about right now is whether or not the infrastructure is going to work for them, right? So to make that infrastructure, available and working is really powerful. But like when we think about some of the challenges that happen, you have to have those actionable insights, right? When you see things happen on the environment, that'll slow down your CI/CD pipeline. And this includes things like adapting storage and observability strategies in order to respond to the shifting for platform-aware by application-aligned infrastructures. But we saw a lot of this highlighted during the summit and during the research of the summit. So I'd love to hear your perspective about reinforcing that call to move beyond that legacy system and the fragmented tooling and really have that kind of unified approach. Because one of the data points I wanted to share is we found that organizations, 75% of respondents are saying that they're using 6 to 15 different tools to manage their ecosystem, their environment. And in 2025, this year, they're looking. These 54% of respondents are looking to move away from those distributed tools to more of a unified approach. So I'm wondering if you can kind of touch a little bit more about, Tintri's response here. How do you accelerate that frictionless, response to the infrastructure, but also help with maybe some of even the skill gap issues that are out there as well.
Yeah, those are excellent points, Paul, and I could go on for this for an hour or two. That's a whole topic. Where we accelerate that is again, ease of use. And remember, our operating environment is and was the first AI-enabled operating system on the market, period. It just wasn't called AI back then. We called it autonomous infrastructure. So where does this matter for developers? Something that you said, what do I need to launch this? What do I need? Our predictive analytics will take their workload. So if they're developing an app that's got 20 users and they have to scale it to 200 users, the intelligence, our AI engine will go out, scan all the resources, available CPUs, et cetera, network, bandwidth, and come back and recommend, okay, you want to add 100 users, you want to add 100,000 users. It will tell you horsepower-wise exactly what you need to do that with what you have and how to do it, how to expand it. So these are a lot of things that aren't known about Tintri, and it's actually quite underutilized, unfortunately, is the ability of predictive analytics. Like it's our own LLM historic in there that we can track what you've been doing, what your usage patterns are, and then model against that. So that's very valuable for developers and speeding up that process. There won't be surprises when you hit launch.
Yeah, and I also want to touch on, and again, this is kind of an area that I think is important to note, is you do offer bridge in the gap with those data sources, right? You know, if people are running heritage applications and they're running their new environments, they don't have to be siloed. They can work together and operate. So if you have an LLM or SLM that you're working with, you can pull data from the various sources and still aggregate it together. That's a very important distinction, especially when we're talking about automation and intelligent data management, really to help improve those development productivity and operational scale. Because, you know, one of the customer use cases that we were talking about during the summit is the AI IDE story that, you know, Tintri's kind of role in automation and that lean ops kind of perspective. That was really impressive. But when we're talking about, you know, anything AI right now is hot, right? Of course, that's just what it is. But like when we're talking about acceleration of developer productivity and operational scale, it's equally or more important when we're talking about these AI solutions. Can you touch a little bit about that?
I can, Paul. I wish I could show you this case study. We talked about Platform 9, for example. I could send this to you if you want to send it to your users, or they can just Google Platform 9 Tintri case study. If you want to see a real world outcome, please Google that. It also exposes who that IDE vendor is. I just can't say it here. So it's largest in the world. Take a look at it. The outcome's pretty amazing. If anybody would like more information on that or to speak with somebody, if you're encountering similar challenges, please reach out.
Yeah, I think use cases are incredibly important because it takes our technology and it actually applies it to real world scenarios, right? I mean, that's one of the biggest challenges I've seen throughout my career is to take technology and translate it to business value. I mean, there's a lot of cool tech out there, but it needs to really actually work and solve business problems. I really was impressed with your Platform 9 announcement. Platform 9 doing that migration of VMs onto the platform, and how Tintri is working very closely with that integration is making that seamless. That's another area of, again, removing friction, right? And removing those complexities. But I think that in itself, the partner ecosystem is really part of Tintri's differentiated approach. You have the intelligence, adaptive, not only complex, but also you challenge or validate your current thinking about infrastructure environments and investments. And I do truly appreciate, being working with organizations that you want to maximize your existing IT investment, but you can do so while investing in the future. Yeah. You want to touch a little bit on that? Because I think, these use cases are important to note, but also organizations go, well, do I really want to bring in another thing for my environment? Is that going to cause me issue? Is it what's going to happen if I do that?
There's also 2 points there. There's a business hack that if you don't do it, this is not technical, it's business, then you're going to lose, period. Because there's companies that are doing it and the efficiencies they're gaining will crush their competitors. It's order of magnitude improvement in their operations, period. And that's referenceable done. Issue is there's only a handful of them that are successful doing it. So as you go down stack, I think the resistance point of realizing that, okay, it's almost like when mainframe and x86 came around. There's going to be 2 different paths of people. Hypervisors aren't going anywhere. That's going to stay. The new apps that are coming out to be developed from the ground up with an AI engine and an AI platform, we're going to crush any other application that's doing similar functions, period. And you're not going to do legacy stuff. It's not going to happen. You'll never be able to manage, produce, and deploy it at scale.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement, Phil. I also think that the audience is trying to understand their path, right? They're saying like, hey, this is, they know they have to modernize. They know they have to get into a better, newer way of doing it for a number of reasons. It's not just cost or operational efficiencies or developer productivity, but there's also the security elements, right? The security elements of if you're on a heritage environment, that potentially opens you up to vulnerabilities. And that's an issue in itself. That's probably a whole nother summit, other video we could talk about here. But I definitely think that it's important. But as we're looking forward and we're looking ahead, in organizations thinking about modernizing, especially as they're preparing infrastructure strategies to support agentic AI scenarios, right? That's another area, right? Not just security, but agentic AI. You were mentioning yourself that you're traveling around the world. There's also sovereign data mandates, right? That's an issue. If the data has to reside in country, it has to reside in certain cloud environments. And then there's also the growing demand for simplicity across distributed environments. We were talking on previous sessions that we had that the research is showing that 67% of organizations are hiring generalists over specialists. And that simplicity that they're looking for, these organizations are looking for, they're pushing back to vendors to reduce the complexity and provide the simplicity so generalists can do the work that historically was a specialist to do the job. So I think that's an area that we should probably double click on.
Well, yeah, the quick answer to that is if you YouTube or Google, I think it was a 7 or a 9-year-old. It was 10 years ago. One of our staff members had their daughter install Tintri. So from an ease of use and implementation, setting it up for developers, if you don't have a system admin, hopefully you're a little wiser than a 9-year-old kid. But it was successfully done in, I think, 30 or 45 minutes. So the stand-up, the setup, and the ongoing maintenance of it does not really require administration. What critical what you just said there too, though, is to understand, and customers and technical people need to understand this. If you're doing microservice-based apps, which is, I would say, is going to be 80% of future applications, and that's probably understated. Kubernetes environments come with an order of magnitude more objects. So if you have compliance issues, you've got GDPR, whatever kind of restrictions around country exit, it's not just like the Word document that you spit out or the outcome that you spit out. It's every single object that is touched cannot leave that boundary. So I don't think a lot of our market has fully digested how large that is and what a pain in the butt it is to manage on a x86 type system. It just is. It's an order of magnitude more things you have to deal with that are very impactful. And they're also, you said about generalists, you need to have people understand where these objects are going if you don't have an intelligent system that can tell you. So that's where our value is. We don't care. You could set the boundaries on it. You could set all of this up in box without an army of people to maintain it.
Yeah, and that's really key, right? I mean, as we move forward, I think that the fear of a lot of people is, well, we don't need an army of people, and will AI be the future and take over everything? I don't believe that to be the case, but I think that we have to be more intelligent about how we're using these tools in order to be successful. Phil, this has been incredibly insightful, really important. I do really appreciate you being part of the AppDev Summit. This has been, you and Tintri being part of it. It's really been awesome to have you part of it because it's your value proposition and your go-to-market statements, your positioning and your awareness around this space is really an integral part of the research that we're showing here. So, I want to thank you for attending. Before we close, do you have any closing thoughts you want to leave to the audience?
No, yeah, I think I said it in the last one. Keep your eyes open, investigate thoroughly, and remember, these are ones and zeros and how to most efficiently match them. A lot of the magic and smoke and mirrors needs to go away because the efficiency gains, the potential of this kind of technology and advancement is massive. But we have to change all of this needs to change our mindsets about how we approach these things.
Very cool, Phil. Thank you for your insights. Thank you for attending. It's really been great having you on. And thank you for all of you that's tuned in. We really do appreciate you being part of the AppDev Done Right Summit. Well, that wraps up this session. But please do tune in to the rest of the series where we have conversations that dive into the tools, trends, and talents shaping the future of application development. Whether you're deploying at the edge, building an AI, or modernizing your cloud stack, we have you covered. So be sure to follow us on social. If you have any thoughts, questions, or just want to connect, you can always reach me at pauln@siliconative.com. Until next time, stay curious and stay building.